3, 2, 1. What's up, guys?
What's up? How you guys doing?
Good. Welcome. Really excited to have the third Grand Rapids Business and Entertainment podcast. So these are now our guests on our third show, and we're super excited to have you guys on. This is, by the way, Alec and Wayne, and this is the Jancy and Kelly show. Just kidding.
Just Kelly.
Just
I
Kelly.
don't have a title.
Right. So you guys are the brand behind Kicks and Coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, it's this dude's vision, man. I'm just here to push him. That's it, really. Yeah.
Thank you, Wayne.
Yeah.
Wayne's pretty awesome. I've seen your work, Wayne. You do.
Hey, man, thank you. I appreciate it, man.
Wayne
Thanks
can do it all.
too,
He's definitely a guy that he dabbles in a lot of things because he's talented at a lot of things as well. So
I see that.
He's definitely someone you want on your team.
All right, thanks.
And
Jeez, all right, yeah. How you
A little bromance going on. Okay.
I definitely appreciate him. So
thanks.
I wish my friends talked about me like that.
you just got to speak life into people, man.
That's
That's
right.
what it's about.
That's what it
so.
is.
That's true.
All about it.
So that's really cool. I mean, you guys have a really awesome mindset, and I think what's drawn us to you guys is the fact that we see that permeating through your work. You guys are a great example of what you want to bring to the world by being that, and I think that's what Kelly and I first saw through your work, honestly. And I thought, man, these guys are really interesting. And it's cool because, little backstory, your brother, I've been cutting his hair for probably 15 years. And I've cut your hair, and I've known you since you were young.
Yep.
So that's super cool. And then I met Wayne through you and everybody else.
Yeah.
So it's just been a cool circle of friends kind of connecting. But then there's another backstory to that, which we'll share later, about Eric and his father, because I've cut Eric's father for now a year and a half, I think, or 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. That's what's up.
Small town.
So you guys are here, and so tell us what you do. I mean, people want to hear it. They're curious, like what Kicks and Coffee is.
For sure.
Constantly creating. Like
Yeah.
I think that's what draws us to you. You're constantly
mic's right here.
creating.
She gets excited because we only got 3 mics, y'all. You know what I'm saying? So it's all good.
No, you're always putting out work, and I think that's the essence of it. So you being in business by yourself, we can't imagine doing business alone. So you have to have that push.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good stuff.
So our whole thing is storytelling, and so through sneakers tell a story. Every person has a story to tell, and so I think that's why we're always creating on a daily, is because we know with the business you need to have a following, especially with our end goal is to have that coffee shop. So in order to get there, we got to take steps back. And it's like, what's the first step to take? We know, okay, we need to build a following. We need people to understand our vision and also rock with it. And so that's what we try to share through social media. But yeah, just try to keep it simple, honestly. It's like storytelling through sneakers and people, like outreach to people. So meeting new people, being out in the community, doing things. Giving back. We just recently went to Martin Luther King Leadership Academy, spoke to the students there.
That was super dope.
Yeah,
Really
we've
dope.
seen that on Instagram.
Yeah,
It's
and
really
then
cool.
we're going to Ottawa Hills, speaking to their special ed students.
Nice.
Here shortly within the next few weeks, and then Wayne solidified something
Yeah,
in
we got
February.
we got an event in. It's an event like late February.
Yeah.
March 23rd out in Lansing at Michigan State. So
oh wow.
yeah, it's just interesting to see how like you put in the work, and we do it. Even when it comes from a genuine place, it's not like for the money or like for anything like that or like seeking attention, but to just genuinely do it because you love it. It's interesting to see the opportunities that come out. So it's really dope.
I've
It's
seen
really
that
dope.
for sure. Yeah.
And
sure.
that's one thing too, is like the passion overrides everything else. It's like we may not be the best business minds or anything, but that passion starts to override because you're eager to grow, you're eager to reach out.
Yeah.
You're you just want to succeed, not only for yourself but for other people. You want to pour into other people, and so like that's just something we really pride ourselves on.
Well, I'll be the first testimony to say that you guys started pouring into us in the most indirect ways, probably. Just well, directly I'd say too, and indirectly, but I mean, we've been impacted so greatly just by your work. So that's why I say that, is because it's so true in that context, you know. For example, like just where we are right now, the connection because of the work you guys have done has brought back too, you know, and then has brought it back to us where we got a super deal working here with the owner. So that was one thing, and then not to mention just the inspiration you guys have given us to work. You know, we're like, man, these guys hustle every day. They're out there just doing,
I will
posting.
look through Instagram and I'll be like, gosh dang it, Alex out there, we gotta go. Like,
I appreciate that. That's the stuff that, you know, keeps you going and, you know, keeps that motor going, and just understanding it's bigger than yourself and realizing, like, once you reach people, it's just really the goal.
And it's easier with a community who are like-minded individuals. I can't stress that enough. Even for myself, I wasn't. I've always been someone who has been creative, but I haven't always used it to the best of my abilities every time. So being able to come around people like Alec, like Eric, Zach, Alex, just different people like that who would, like, you know, push me, like. They're always doing something. So it's like, if you're not doing something at the time, you're like, well, what am I doing? If they're like, it just makes you like, all right, I got to go do something.
Right.
Like, and that kind of is a spark engine for like all of us. We all look around at each other and see us doing something. So it just helps.
That accountability.
Right. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
how did you guys connect?
So that's really funny and ironic.
I don't even know.
So it was, remember it was, okay, so I'm a part of a fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, which is a historically black fraternity. I'm the first one. So we did a fundraiser for Flint, and so we were able to take over 400, 500 cases of water donated to us to Flint, but we had no way to get it there. We raised all of it. We had no way. And I knew Eric a little bit. But it was enough to just kind of ask him, like, yo, can we use that carbon truck? I think it'd be big enough.
You knew him a little bit?
Yeah. Like, I knew him through work.
That's a big favor.
I know, right?
Can I use your truck?
I knew him through the owner of Muse, Steve Smith, which is, you know, like my brother. And so I've been doing their social media, just working with them. He was the contact for that. Eric took a few pictures at the space. He was like, yo, you can get in contact with him. He's a cool dude. I'm trying to tell you. For me, at first, I'm like, I'm from Detroit. We don't really reach out to people. We're very close
Right, we don't
it's
do
not
that.
our thing. So I'm like, but I'm like, you know, I'm trying to evolve. So let me ask this guy. Let me see what he says. Ask him. It was like, no problem. Like, yeah, sure, bro. I'll gas it up, everything. Like, you can take the truck. I'm like, all right, bet. Cool. All right. I don't know how to drive it, though, but we got to get it. Eric's like, yeah, I'm too busy, but I got a friend. He could drive it. You know, his name's Alec. He's a cool dude. All right, cool, bet.
Volunteered you.
Literally, yeah, it was it.
But I was so game to do it. I thought with their whole thing, I don't know, it was so dope. It was really dope. It was dope to be a part of. Their fraternity is really dope, and so
it was cool. It was, and that's what we say. Like, the whole relationship was like a godsend thing for us. We always reference it back to that because it's just so ironic how it happened. It's like we sat in the truck for 2 hours there, 2 hours back. So it's like 4 hours with this person you never met. I didn't know him. It was like,
wow.
I'm like, yo, you want me to drive with you to Flint? He like, no, it don't matter, bro. I'm like, I ain't gonna make him drive by himself to Flint. All right, come on, I'll ride the car with you. And from there, it was just like we just kicked it, we talked, and after them 4 hours, it was like, oh, this is bro. Like, we're good now.
Man.
Back to the like-minded. We were just telling stories that we can both relate to, and like it just resonated to both of us because we both have experienced those things from our past. So just being able to talk to someone that can understand you and then also get feedback, we're like, oh, you know,
he's
this
solid.
is dope.
Yeah, he's solid.
This is the homie.
And
Right?
so then it was like
And
it
then
was
we
like
started
3 weeks
going on trips.
We had to
like,
go. It was like
literally.
3
We went to
trips, like back
Chicago,
to back to back.
back
Like
to Detroit,
in
like-
the carbon truck. Like one of them was to go to Chicago because I was like, yo, I'm riding with the Kicks and Coffee thing. Even after that 4 hours, I'm like, yo, I'm Kicks and Coffee now. Like, let's get to work, bro. We gotta do it. Yeah, that was it for me. I'm like, all right, I'm on board. Then it was like Eric asked us to grab something from him in Detroit, so we was like, bump it, let's do it again. And we just took like 4 road trips, and after that, it was like, all right, yeah. We
That's
in
so
there.
good.
It's tied in now. So.
Isn't it great when you can like when you meet a dude and it's a good dude and you're like, I could bond with this guy, I could chill with him, you know,
Yeah, you know,
he's a good dude.
Yeah, and you worry about that because like, you know, guys are so territorial. There's always like so much competition in between them
for
and,
no reason.
Yeah, it's like we just chopped it and it was like.
And we always talk about just really dropping ego and uplifting each other.
Yeah.
It's like, because we're only going to grow or we're only going to win if we're uplifting each other.
Right.
Like,
Right.
when you allow your pride and your ego get in the way, it's like, that's destructive. Like,
Man,
you're not gonna
where have
win.
you seen that like play out?
I can say, even personally, like, I've been a victim of it. Like, I've done it to someone and someone's done it to me. But like, having that understanding and learning and growing and actually reflecting and having that awareness, I think is key. Reflecting,
and it reflects in it goes into business too. And for like those who don't know, I do have a clothing line, Wild Boys LLC. We're like environmentally conscious, so every quarter we give like 20% of our proceeds back into like an environment conservative group or something like that. But in our beginnings, it was just like some kids in high school who just wanted to make clothes. So like, and that's where we were. I was like 17 when we made our first print, like our shirt. But I learned from even that aspect of creating those clothes, and you know, having like, you know, people in your school or like people in your neighborhood or like people start to pick up on it and say, yo, this is a dope thing, and you let your ego get in the way. And I was like, oh, I'm cool, I dropped out. I don't need to make another shirt. We made all the shirts we need to make. And then 3 months later, your buzz is gone. You dropped it. And it's like those lessons that teach you, you know, the humility aspect of business and
I've learned that myself too.
We all have, for sure.
Most definitely. So
You wonder why you're not getting anywhere. Sure.
right.
Yeah.
Like, why isn't this working?
Yeah.
Business is so hard.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel like business is easier now?
Easy.
Easier
I was-
as
yeah,
in
easy.
flowing?
Yeah.
It flows. Like things just start to happen. Like we just work and we work hard, and then in 4 days we get opportunity. And it's like, yo, that just happened because we were consistent. You know, it's like, so we just. It's not that we're older. It's like, all right, you learn the lesson and then you keep the lesson, so you don't have to go through it again. That's kind of where we're at this point.
And we always say faith without works is dead. So always having that faith, but at the same time you have to put in that work. And I always say, like, for a while I was like, I don't know what to do next, or I don't know what's next, but I'm gonna continue doing what I know what to do. And that's things like always posting consistently, always making content, so it's relevant and people see it. And then those other doors start to open, and then you just start to scale from there and build from there. So
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people have a hard time posting every day consistently for like intentional.
We just got that message today.
Yeah,
from
somebody, one of our customers was like, man, how do you guys stay so consistent?
awesome, good.
You
job.
know,
that's what's up.
Yeah, that's a huge compliment.
That's a
You're
win
like,
for you guys.
have to. You're like, because you have to.
Yeah.
That's the reason why.
Because he's like, I can't even. He goes, I can't do that, let alone live my daily life. And I'm like, I agree with you.
Yeah.
It
is a
freaking
job.
hard.
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough.
Super hard. How do you stay daily? And I think it takes two of us, to be honest.
But
I mean,
it's less. Like, once you're in flow of your business, it's honestly not that much work because you're content. The hard part is the caption, I think.
Yeah.
But
What-
then your caption
Yes.
you're like, hold on. I'm in my car. 1 second. I'm parking. I promise.
Yeah.
That's
I
the
think
funny
you
thing.
hit it. I think both those two things, like, it does become a constant flow and it becomes an easy transition the more you do it. But the one thing that I find hard, just because I'm such like a chill, simple dude, I always say, like, simple, clean, bright. Like, those are my three things. So I like to keep things simple. So when it comes down to the caption, I'm always like very... Yeah, just
Simple, clean, and bright.
Yeah,
That's it.
And
I'm ready
so-
to fight him at the end. I'm like, bro, it's so much you could have put in this caption. Like, what are you doing?
But as far as posting it, I've never found it as like a problem, because I've done like social media for a while. Like, this is Cakes and Coffee is like my third like social media brand type. Like, I've had two other ones before, and
so you've had the practice and the fail.
Exactly. And so I ran. It was called GR Vintage, so it was all vintage clothing and like sneakers and stuff like that. And then I transitioned where I did like upscale fashion, and it was called the F Word Fashion. Nice. So like both these things I had to continuously post. But then like all that trial and error, and then finally Cakes and Coffee. And then it all circles back to passion too, because it's like I started those two things, and I thought I was into vintage, which I was, but it wasn't truly a passion. It was like, this was probably like 5 years ago, where it's really starting to be like a hype thing. And then like Round 2 came about. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Round 2, but so they're a vintage shop. They're like a resale shop, where they started in Virginia, and then they really blew up. They started this YouTube channel, blew up. They have two stores in Miami, in Miami, LA, and then Chicago and New York. And then we did a pop-up right across the street from their store in Chicago. And so, are you familiar with Sean Witherspoon? Or heard of him?
Sean Witherspoon?
Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
So he did a collab with Nike, and that's another reason why they blew up too.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so, like, I was fortunate to meet him, chop it up with him, kind of tell him, like, the vision for Kicks and Coffee. And this dude's, like, a massive influencer, like, over 1 million followers on Instagram.
Man.
And so, yeah, that very next week, like, we pulled up that carbon truck he was talking about, and we did a Kicks and Coffee installation in the carbon truck across from their store. And so, like, that was just great exposure and just a great experience as well. And, definitely, the brand definitely looked out on that.
Was that a turning point for your brand there?
A turning point?
Or a cornerstone?
I would say the turning point was in the summertime was our first pop-up. We did that, I think, back in July is when we did our first pop-up.
Of this year?
19. Yep, of 2019. I think that was really the turning point because I finally got to see it, like actual on hand, like, okay, this is the vision. And so with that, we were just able to scale and do more, and it just became easy, like in that passion. That I go back to passion too, because, and I say easy because of the passion override everything that we thought was hard or all the challenges, right? Like we were like, no, we're gonna get past all these challenges because the passion was there. And so we did that one in July with Mac at Fulton Street. Then we did I think we did another one. Yeah, we did a few more in Grand Rapids. And then we did a 3-on-3 tournament, which was really dope. We collabed with Carbon on that one for their block party. So we did. And then we went to Detroit. I think Detroit was kind of the, now that I think about it, Detroit was that turning point. Because then we got more exposure and just like more clarity with the brand. Okay. So we were able to talk to people from StockX that came to Madcap to like go see the installation and stuff like that. And then Chicago, and then we went to SneakerCon as well in Chicago, which was another great experience.
That was crazy.
SneakerCon?
Yeah, SneakerCon.
I've heard of that. It sounds insane.
Yeah, I mean, basically it's like little 13-year-old kids with their sneakers in the air trying to sell them. That's where all you see. All you see is like shoes
hustling.
in the air.
13 years old.
It's crazy.
I heard there was a 16-year-old. You mentioned one in our last meet, but then I heard of this kid from, I don't know if it was on YouTube or what, but he would sell to the stars, like DJ Khaled. I mean, he was selling shoes.
I forgot his name.
Ben.
Miami, right?
Something Ben.
He was making some serious bank.
Just selling to
stars like DJ Khaled, Justin Bieber.
How is he getting his publicity? Or is he?
I mean, maybe he's just finding shoes that's hard to find. He's getting shoes that are hard to find, and he's maneuvering them the right way, making the right trades, doing the right sales.
Smart.
I mean, it's a trading app for sneakers.
Yes.
For those of you that don't know,
there's quite a few.
There's a trading. That's how serious this game is.
Yeah. And that's
fascinating.
That's one of the things we've been taught at MLK, being with the kids. That was a part of our curriculum. For sure, is to let them know that, like, you know, that money that your parents just spent on those shoes, if you treat those shoes the right way, you can double that money. So, you know, it's just something to really think about. It's something I wish somebody told me when I was like 14 buying shoes, because I was just dogging them out. That was it.
Rocking hard.
Go.
I mean, speaking of value, I mean, probably too soon and unfortunate for the death of Kobe, but whoever has a pair of Kobe's that are fresh, I'm sure would be.
Yeah, they definitely. We were looking on StockX, like and they were going up.
They were like 3,000.
Really?
Like 3,000 for some shoes.
Is that any like shoe or is it like
specific for sure?
But they were sold
even
out,
like the regular like GA shoes of Kobe's, like those are still like in the 500. You know.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting to see it. It was the same night, literally that night.
Man, that's so crazy, man.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, so I don't know. If I didn't hoop him on, you know, we probably would have, I could probably still sell. I looked up the price. I could probably still sell him for something, but I'm just gonna keep him.
That's something you just gotta keep.
Yeah. It's like you can keep that for generations.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be worth something.
Yeah.
And
To your
that one right
kids.
there specifically,
that Kobe 9.
that one, at least for me, holds a lot of like sentimental value.
Yeah, same. Bro.
What is that?
Well, so that's the Kobe 9, and this one. So before the low came out, he came out with the high one, and that's the one that I had at the time. And this one was like, it was only, it wasn't even released to the public, and I had bought it off Flight Club because I was like, yo, I really want this. But the reason is because that's when he had tore his Achilles, and I had tore my same Achilles, and I had surgery on it. So I was like, and then it had like the lining in the back, which represented like the scars on the back of his Achilles. So yeah, I was like, yo, this is dope. Like, I can relate, and they were just, and they were really comfortable too. And it was like
They're
a
so
first
comfortable.
basketball shoe that was up so high, it just reminded myself of a boxing shoe. You know?
I have a pair of Kobe's, the Zooms.
Okay, yeah.
Man, I love them. I've had them 3 years.
You wear
and
them every day.
I'm saying, like, and they still look fresh. That's the thing.
Hey, nah,
I
that's what's
beat them
man.
up and they still look fresh. And I'm like, this is a good pair of shoes. Like, I gotta get me another one. But
No.
you know, it's unfortunate is what's happened.
Yeah, most
I remember receiving the news from the loading dock,
Oh,
text.
Group text.
Yeah.
and I was like, what? These guys would not be joking about that. Like,
Yeah.
like who's playing around like that for real? Like, that's a big deal. And then I was like, well, you never know. So I Googled it, and like instantly it was like news headline everywhere.
Yeah.
Man,
That
it's
was
tragic. It's so heartbreaking.
I called that dude so fast. I was just like,
Man.
yo, like I know we were both like.
He was the
like,
first to tell you.
I had put in the chat like, yo, did Kobe really pass? Because I thought the same thing. Because I saw it on TMZ, and I was like, this can't be true. Like,
Yeah, 'cause
and,
they were
and
going back
then
and
Wayne was
forth.
like, yeah. He was like, yeah, bro, it's all over Twitter.
Man.
And it just
That
broke
was
down.
That was
Like, it
real.
took a second, right?
Yeah.
To like,
Man, I was that one. And the crazy thing was we just did at the MLK.
Yeah.
We literally were just talking. One of the kids asked us like, "What's your favorite player like of all time?"
Man.
And mine was off rip, Kobe. Kobe, easy. I love everything about him. And it was like 3-4 days later he passed. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is crazy.
Wow.
But
It is,
What was
Yeah.
your favorite
Devastating.
thing? Like, why Kobe for you
It
guys?
was his mentality for me. Like I said, it was beyond basketball. Like you could compare anything he said. It was like you could take it out of the context of sports. It didn't really. It was just even his work ethic. Like you hear stories about him being in the gym like 3 hours before practice. Like
7
it's
hours.
Like, yeah,
even.
you know what I'm saying. Like we lose and I'm there all night shooting, and it wasn't even my fault. But I'm still in here shooting like it is. It's just the way he thought, the way. It was just his mentality. That Mamba mentality was just different. It was different. It was just
crazy,
different.
man. It's
Gives
crazy.
me chill every time.
Yeah.
Gives me chills.
Right.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, I know. I'll be like,
I get
man,
that.
it's crazy. It is insane.
Yeah, man. I think he left an impact that I think most people don't ever reach.
No.
You know what I mean? Like the
No.
way it happened, and then for the abruptness, everything together at the height of his career. I mean, at the height of his career, and then moving on to something new, and then having the confidence and the tenacity, and being young and
Yeah.
having like a young family
Yeah.
is like,
Yeah,
what?
that's what gets you. He was 41. It's like 41, and you already did 20 years in the league. like
Basically.
you're done. You're done with basketball, and you're moving to another venture where you're gonna
He
kill
was
that.
19.
Yeah, when we started playing.
So
19 years old.
19 when he got drafted. Straight out of high school, too.
Can you
Straight out of high
imagine?
school.
We were just talking to Heather about that today. How when you get that mentality, so in high school, people are telling you like, you know, you're so good at this, you're so good at this, but then you graduate and people are like, nah, forget about it. But for him, they're like, no, you're really this good, and you're getting pulled every which way.
Yeah.
And then for him to still have the mentality to like navigate everything correctly and still be successful without being just overwhelmed and burnout and
He had purpose.
Yeah.
He had purpose,
Had
and
a
he knew
vision.
what
Yeah. had a
he knew what
vision.
he wanted to accomplish. He knew what he wanted to be
Yep.
as far as an NBA player. Like he said it from jump. He's like, I'm gonna be the best.
It wasn't even on his decision making. Like
Yeah.
he originally got. What did he get drafted to the Bobcats?
No,
Or
he,
he was
Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah, it was the Hornets at the time. But yeah, they were like, you know, that was his team. And he like, no, I'm not playing for them.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the vision to win
So
the way I have a
crazy.
vision to win. Like I know who I want to play for. I know my vision. I know how I want to end my career. I know who I want to be. And I think that's that's just something that we can all look at, because we go
Yeah.
through like life so like sporadic, like, you know, this moment here, something might drag us here, something might drag us here, but like Kobe had his tunnel vision on the prize that he wanted, and he did whatever he needed to do to get there, and that's just remarkable.
Yeah, I think the way it went down, I think he'll leave one of the greatest legacies,
For sure.
probably almost ever.
For sure.
You know,
For sure.
it's so weird to even describe the impact because it's so much, right? Like it's like this little explosion that happened in a moment's second, and it just left all this. And unfortunate for his wife and daughter, right? However, I do believe that there's an archetype hero that plays out in this story, and it is him and his daughter, right? Whereas if you look at, and I'm an amateur in the Bible, but if you look at the crucifixion of Christ and then how that went down, right, and played out, it was for humanity and the sins of people, right, to help get them, to help them see, basically connect with God, right? And so I believe that what was left with Kobe is somewhat of that archetype where it's like, look at the greatness, right? Look at the greatness that is left, and now you get to pay attention. There's no more Kobe.
Yeah.
He's done. It's finished.
Yeah.
And if you weren't paying attention then, maybe now is where you get to pay attention. And if you're some young, aspiring person of whatever kind, the impact was so deep that people can't help but to feel it and then talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Which what we're doing right now.
Sure.
And I just feel like, why would you not pay attention to that mark and be like, that's a great example of where I want to be?
Yeah. Oh,
It's
facts.
crazy too, because we were even talking about this earlier before we went on, just having that Mamba mentality. And it was like one of those things today where you were like, yo, I can either do this or this, but like you were like, no, this is what Kobe would do. Like he would push through, because it's all about pushing through. But like it took a tragedy for people to kind of switch their mindsets, you know. Yeah, it's just crazy.
It is. And you know, you think like, man, he left so much gold behind, because even in his last recent interviews, you think
He's just starting so many things.
so many
He was
things.
like,
He's
I can't even listen
passionate.
to music right now. I'm just going right now. I can't even listen to music.
Yeah. And that's I feel him, because it gets,
Right?
to, that, it gets to
No
that
time.
point where it's like I don't even know what's new. Like I don't know. Like I'm just going.
TV was TV.
Like, and we can sit here and be like, yeah, I need a break. And you know what I'm saying? Like we were talking about that today. I was like, I felt like I needed the break, and I could have cleaned up my space where I work or not, and just take a nap. And I was like, man, I'm gonna just go work.
Yeah,
You know?
right. Yeah.
Like, I was exhausted, and I
Yeah.
still am. But it's like you start doing something that you're passionate about. Not that I'm passionate about cleaning,
Right.
but at least that it centers me, and then like arranges my space, right? Like that's something we all
Yeah.
personally have
Oh,
to
yeah.
do for ourselves.
Most
Oh, yeah.
definitely. It serves a purpose.
Yeah.
For sure.
But doing those small things. For
Doing
the
those
big-
small things are so important.
for the big outcome, for sure.
We're so close-minded. I think even the environments that we put ourselves in, with going to Carbon and going out and doing social media and wherever we are, like a lot of people aren't out socializing. I think we have a lot of cool perspectives by getting to do those things. We're very blessed.
Yeah.
But in the same sense, even with all those perspectives, I know I still forget, like, oh, I should say bye to Jance when I walk out the door. Like, I should
Yeah.
say love you, Mom. Like, you just
Yeah.
forget. And it's
Oh,
so
yeah, it's true.
it's so ridiculous
Yeah.
that you can't see beyond. So
Yeah.
that being able to see, like, one more step is like this eternity you didn't know was there.
Yeah. And that's
That is
an
interesting
interesting
perspective.
concept
Yeah.
for sure.
That's
'Cause
good stuff, though.
Yeah,
that
that
is so
That's
real.
very,
That's so,
yeah. About to say
yeah.
you touch, yeah. 'Cause
Like I feel like
just
if
did
you
that.
knew Kobe and you had an ego and you were kind of arrogant,
I'm not gonna lie. I called my dad.
Oh man.
I had a conversation with my dad the following day for like an hour, and him and I rarely talk.
man.
Like, rarely
Yeah.
talk. And so it was good conversation.
Yeah.
And it was just like, unfortunately, it took a tragedy like that to like open up your eyes and like drop your pride. And
Right.
whatever you had going negative with someone or the bad relationship with someone, like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter at all.
Yeah,
I think Jay
facts.
Willis was saying that in an interview on ESPN. He was like, that shit does not matter.
Yeah.
Like, life is
Drop
too
it.
short, too precious to like hold grudges, to be
Right.
mad at anyone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy? I was just talking about that because I realized since meeting you guys, like my perspective has changed a lot too. I mean, you guys are so giving, you don't think about like what that person's gonna give me back. I never got that feeling from you guys.
Yeah.
You're just like open-hearted and giving. I'm like, I need to be more like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're
And
not
I was
about to
the
be
same
better
way.
givers than me.
I'm telling you, man. I would say, like, for me, a lot of people think that like I've been around carbon for forever, but to be honest, it's been like since maybe September, October.
Really?
Like, yeah, but it was
Oh yeah, I feel like you were
right.
born there.
Yeah,
Right.
no, that's the thing,
Adapted.
But it's just it's an environment where like you get like a piece of it, and you see that there's people who like I said, coming from there aren't people who are just genuinely giving or genuinely care, or like, you know, in aspects where it's small stuff like. Will call you before they see you, like, yo, you want a coffee? Like, I'm at the coffee shop, you want a coffee? Like, no one, like, yo, you about to just grab me something randomly? You don't need the money back? No, just take the coffee, bro.
Yeah.
Shut up. It's like, you know,
good.
that's just, even those small things, you know, it just shows that there are people who, like, actually care about you on a broader level. They don't want anything back. It's just about genuine connection. And I think just continuing to build that is something that's really dope. It built inside of me being around it. And it's like, the only thing I want now is to just continue to spread that message and do the same thing. So, no, it's really dope.
Absolutely.
You
It's
reap
really
what
dope.
you sow,
Yeah.
you know? And it's
Sure.
like not giving to receive, but it's like we've been blessed to give.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to use that as much as possible. I'm going to give as much as possible.
Yeah.
I think some people use that and go, I'm gonna avoid karma
Yeah.
and not do
Yeah.
something bad. But I think that's taking it at the extra step, which is like, now you're giving so you can start the receiving process. Because how else do you receive?
Yeah.
Besides being 5 years old.
Well,
And
from the most
Facts,
from the
yeah.
most like genuine, honest place though,
Yeah.
because it's different to give when it's not coming
From
from
a
the
good
most honest
yeah.
place in your soul.
Yeah,
Facts.
100%. There's like, if we're talking, if we're talking God, God knows where your heart is. He knows where your mind is. And so, and when you give too, you're not like, oh man, I just gave, like telling all these people,
Right.
because it's like, then it's like, okay, maybe it wasn't genuine, because now you just want recognition. Or
Right,
whatever, you
right,
know?
right. I
And
used
so,
to do
like,
that though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
You
mean,
know?
and I think we all have it.
Right.
Like we all have it in us, but it's like fighting that battle. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not saying like I always feel the need. Like we all have. We're naturally like selfish creatures, so
Right.
it's like I'm always constantly fighting that battle. But as long as like I win it, like that, like that's that
That's what
feeling
matters.
that I want to
Yeah.
like thrive for. You know,
Yeah,
Right.
most def. I
because it's
agree.
not like every day I'm just like I want to give. You know. But it's like you just gotta fight through it, and then you start to build that muscle,
Yeah.
and it becomes easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember working on the pop-up that we had at Muse. That was like, bro, just like, that was when I like was like, all right, I'm engulfed in Kicks and Coffee, because it was like, yo, we were like going at it
This
every
recent
day,
one?
every
Yeah.
night. Yeah, the one that was at Muse. Shout out to the gallery.
Yeah.
But we were like grinding it out for like 2-3 weeks, like in preparation, just constant. I'm like, bro, this not even my shit. What am I doing? Like, but it was just like, yo, this is like a vision. I see how much he loves his vision.
Yeah.
It's like, it's something that I love as well. So it's like, yo, I don't need anything back. Like, I just want to help. I think this is dope. And it was like, after that, like, we just hugged. Like, yo, we just killed this.
It was
like,
an
this
awesome
dope.
event,
It was
That's
too.
so cool.
Appreciate it.
Really
Man.
cool.
But then you gain so much to yourself
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the natural mentality is I'm helping this person and I'm not getting anything back and I'm using up my time and my resources.
Exactly.
Yo,
And that's
facts.
like the selfish part of
Yeah.
your like
Yeah.
your primal self goes, all right, this is
It's time. When you're a business owner, you start thinking in time.
time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's like time is money, time is,
Yes.
and that'll lock you in
Yeah.
to the opposite way. But then if you think about it, because if you do it selflessly, what happens then in turn? There's so much goodness that comes from the results
Yeah.
that it bleeds into every
Yes.
aspect that
That's exactly what it
basically
is.
help put it together, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, now you're being recognized for the work you did.
Yeah.
Now it's like your work's on display too, and you're about to get work because of that, and possibly even paid work
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
did it selflessly.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to
Literally
go
that.
find it. It's
Yeah.
now it's yours to keep because somebody's actually asking you, Wayne,
Yeah.
can you do this for me, right? Because you help Alec out, because you help so and so out.
Yeah.
And I think so many people miss that.
100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Miss the
that's
mark
so
hard.
good.
Facts.
And I could relate that to photography. Like that's something I did starting in photography. I was under Eric, just like doing stuff for him, or like just watching him, or going with him to places, and like Just, yeah, I remember.
Learning.
Yeah, pretty much. That's all it was. But now, again, you reap what you sow. I've been able to see, like, the fruits of that labor just in the last, and it's happened, honestly, quickly.
Yeah.
And, like, in the last 2 months, I've been very blessed and been put in a great position with great people around me to help want to see me grow. But, like, yeah, the whole photography thing has just blown up in the last couple of months.
That's awesome, man. We see that. We're just like, that is so cool. You know?
So, but it's back to what you were saying. It's like understanding, like you have to put in that groundwork first, and things aren't just going to be handed to you.
Right.
And so, yeah, that was good. That was
Yeah.
good stuff. That really spoke to me. So.
Yeah, man. I really think, you know, part of the reason we called on you guys to come and talk is because you guys are the forefront and what I see Grand Rapids being like sneakerheads, right? Where you're having conversations, like healthy conversations around topics that you're passionate about. Yeah. You know, I don't know anything about sneakers. I don't even have a sneaker collection, you know what I'm saying? But I love shoes,
Right.
so I can respect that.
Yeah.
And then the fact that you guys are willing to have open conversation about good stuff, I'm like, man, something about what just happened with Kobe and what you guys are doing just seems to mesh.
Yeah.
Well, that's something I always said, like, I wanted to attack, especially this industry specifically, at a different angle because of those conversations aren't being told, or these conversations aren't being had because the sneaker industry is so, like, cutthroat and so, like, me, and, like, everyone's trying to get theirs, and which is respectable, but it's like, yo, it doesn't always have to be that way. We can actually create dialogue with one another, help build relationships, and then we could all win at the same time. Especially,
Man.
and I'm just talking specifically the resale aspect of the sneaker industry.
Yeah.
And so that was always, like, my purpose. And it's like, we don't even try to, like, shove down, like, sneakers down people's throats. Like,
I honestly, today I was like, if I want to buy a pair of sneakers from Alec, how do I even,
Yeah.
not like how, like I know where to go, but I'm like, you don't push it like that.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
we know
let's talk
eventually we
coffee.
will, but again, it's like we know what the end goal is, but we're just working our way back, and then we're just going to continue scale from there. It's like we know we're trying to build the awareness and build the brand first and get people to really rock with us, like truly, like core community followers that are long lasting, you know, because we're not trying to make a quick transactional with someone and then, like, them not come back.
It's a relationship building.
Yeah. And so we know eventually, like, that's going to be the case, but I just know right now we're just not in that space.
And that was the reason I was down to, to rock with the whole thing, was because it was something I noticed initially, especially being in, like, brand management, brand development, and social media content analytics.
He's a
stuff
guru,
like that.
low key.
Yeah, low key. It's why low key got invited.
right. But nah, even just noticing, that was the first thing I noticed. It was like a page where I, as a fan of sneakers, and I wasn't even a fan of coffee at the time. Like, coffee was cool. Like, I drank it in necessity. But it was like, yo, like, still really cares about what he does, and it's not just for the profit. It's not just like, yo, come buy these Jordan 5s. I got them 20% off on every post.
Right.
Like, that's
He's not that dude.
There's no sales post.
Not that
So,
dude, man. I've
it's
met
like,
so many of them too, man.
that's the crazy thing. And it's like, for me, I'm like, yo, I'm calling him like, yo, we gonna get a sale or something? When we gonna sell something?
Cause
He
my
like,
friend
bro,
hit me up.
this
I'm
is
like,
hard.
man, I'm not trying to buy no shoes from you, bro. You know, like,
Right. But like you said, it's a foundation, it's a start. So when we get to the point of, yes, there is a shop, or even we have a couple like pop-up tours going on, like, across the country now. We're starting to get, like, a whole little movement with that. We're going to South by Southwest in March. That'd be pretty cool. And then we're setting up one for Houston too. So we'll be down there for like a weekish, figuring that stuff out.
Then Chicago too for All-Star Weekend.
Chicago for All-Star Weekend. So
man, that's what's up.
oh,
man.
we're just
You
gonna
guys are
follow you
touring.
guys.
Yeah. We're gonna be trailing behind you with burritos.
free burritos. Cool with me.
No, yeah, that is.
But
really,
nah,
that-
yeah. So even with that, it's like, then we know we'll be able to get out into, like, all right, we'll go to these different places, build relationships. We'll sell, like, limited merch in those spots, or be able to sell a couple kicks in those places. But right now it's just about building that brand awareness, understanding that we're not just another like sneaker page interested in like feeding you just like sneaker sales. It's more like, yo, we want to give you information. We're into like anti-bullying. So even like when we went to the school, we talked to the kids about like, yo, let people rock the shoes they want to rock. It doesn't have to be this Jordan that everybody's wearing. Like, they want to rock a K-Swiss or an N1 or any type of shoe, a Puma, whatever. Let them wear their shoes, and it's not up to anybody else to tell you how to wear them. You can do what you want with your shoes. And
we're speaking with purpose too, because it's also something that we've also gone through. You know, it's like we've had these experiences in middle school, high school, and so when the students can actually feel that, they can actually like that's something they can grab onto, that emotion.
Relatable.
You know,
it's dope to have a combo with them.
And I always, if we're talking Kobe too, I like Kobe had said he said that people always talked about Michael Jordan, about, yo, how does Michael Jordan, he shoots really well, like his fadeaway jumper is really like clean, how he drives to the lane, how he floats in the air. And then Kobe was like, yeah, that's all cool, but he was like, I wasn't looking at that. I was looking at like, okay, how did he get his footwork to be that way, to shoot that jumper? How did he, like, what angles did he take when driving to get to the lane? He was like, it was those small details that I would look at that was a result of that end goal, which was like, you know, dunking high or like that turnaround fadeaway. And so that's kind of like the mindset is like, yeah, I look at these big shots, like we were talking round 2 earlier, like I look at round 2 or like Kith, and it seems so good. Like it's I think a nice balance of being able to dream and have a vision, but then being able to come back to reality and then take those small steps to get to that dream. That's what Kobe taught me, was like, yo, he dreamed to be like MJ, and he took those little small steps to do those things, like footwork, you know, conditioning, to like, you know, just. So I'm a big advocate for basketball. I love basketball, and so talking about this, but like Kobe would be in the gym just on the block, so a lot of people in basketball, when they get in the gym, they're like, oh, they want to shoot threes, blah blah blah, like just, but like he's like, no, I'm gonna specifically work on this move, and I'm gonna do this for this amount of time, and I'm gonna perfect this, and I'm gonna move on, and then I'm gonna perfect something else, and so. You know, he would work on his like turnaround fadeaway for hours and hours and hours until he perfected it. And so it's that stuff that I'm willing to take away and like bring it into business or bring it into real life. And then he also tells this story too. When he was like 10 years old, Kobe was like in this basketball tournament, and he was just trash. He was trash. He didn't score any points that whole summer, like 0 points.
Talk about a drought.
Yeah, but he was able to go back, reflect, see what he needed to improve on, and he was like, I'm just going to improve on my shooting. Because he still had the mindset of, yo, I'm going to be the best. I'm going to be better than these kids. But he was like, that's the end goal. Let me work my way back. How am I going to get there? First worked on his shooting. Now he's like, all right, let me work on, it was just spot up shooting. And then he was like, all right, let me work on like creating a shot. So off the dribble stuff. And then he just built from there. He had a list and he continued to build from there. And then within 2 years, he was like top ranked middle schooler or some shit like that.
So
you
crazy.
know? And it's like, you can do that with business. I think we get so caught up on, like, we get overwhelmed with all these things we feel like we need to do. But it's like really like just slowing your mind down and processing, like, yo, let me just work on this first and then build from there. And so that's
a great point, because a matter of fact, probably a great takeaway, because even, you know, we've started to have to slow down a lot, and we're the personality types where, like, if I see something, I'm running towards it. I'm just grabbing whatever I can to get there, right? It's like, get it done first. And then I'm like, yeah, but what if you can actually slow down and still get it done within reasonable time? Right? And then, well, what does that mean? Well, that means actually paying attention to some details and not forgetting, like my camera that doesn't have battery anymore. Well, I can't even see if it's dead or the card, but so, you know, but we're still recording, which is fine.
Right.
But it's little things like that. It's
Yeah.
like, how do you just go back and like make sure everything's thorough? So I'm more working on being thorough,
Yeah.
and then I think speed comes.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's facts,
slower is
you know.
faster.
Yeah.
I'm
Sometimes
horrible
less
at
is
that.
more.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like we live in a culture that it's hard to grasp that.
Right.
Because everyone's trying to do so much in so little time. We underestimate what we can do in 5 years, but overestimate what we can do in a year. And so with Kicks and Coffee, I already knew this was going to be a 3 to 5 year plan when I started. And everyone's like, no, like you can do that sooner. Like you can, but I'm like, no, because then there's so much. Kobe said today, it's like, or he didn't say, I posted this about Kobe today that he said when he got his jersey retired, he was like, dang, what was it? I got to reference it.
Nah, look at you. Here we go.
Yeah. But
I mean, yeah.
what is it? Oh, it's not the destination, it's the journey. It's like the dream is the journey.
Yeah.
That's the dream,
Right.
you know? And it's like there's so much that you learn during that journey that if you try to skip through that, things will
Man.
fall apart and your business won't succeed.
Right.
Or whatever your end goal is. And it's like just really falling in love and everything that you learn through that, or like your mistakes, like learn through that growth through that. And so really like slow it down and allow yourself to go through that process, you know? And so I've like, people have come to me like, yo, you looking for an angel investor? Like, are you looking for these people?
Wow.
Like, we would love to invest, but it's like, I'm just not there yet. I'm not there yet mentally. And I just know I want to like go through the process a bit more with this because I don't want to like miss out. I don't want to take any shortcuts, you know?
That's so cool, man, to hear you
Yeah.
say that, because how many people wouldn't take the money or think about it, you know? I mean, we got offered money in the beginning, and we're like, man, this is so tempting.
Yeah.
You know, your
It
eyes
is,
get
too.
filled with, like,
It's
the
yo, my
possibilities.
dreams
And
about to come true with
Right.
just this chunk of money.
But that's the difference. You gotta snap back to reality. You look at it like this. If say we took the money, what would we do with it? We have no idea right now.
yeah, you don't have any, you haven't even done the groundwork.
We would blow it. We would
Yeah.
blow it on stuff.
On what?
And
And
now
I've
we
seen
got-
people do that.
Yeah, and now we got a mad angel investor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm good on that. Like,
Money's on the line, and you ain't got
Yeah.
nothing to produce it with. So.
No, so it's like let us work out the kinks with our own little funds, you know, whatever we get some merch money, things like
Right.
that, and from there we could take it from there. Like I said, it's really dope just because we have somebody that's really focused on the vision. I say he's the vision, and I'm the money on the other side. So it's like we try to just combine it together and see how we can make it work. At the end
It
of
takes
the day.
two, man.
So,
Sometimes it takes two. You know, Devasa and Van Andel built
yeah.
Nutrilite together and Amway eventually. And look at this city
I'm
now.
about to say it's their city.
Yeah,
So,
basically.
yeah.
But they did it together,
Yeah.
and it took two.
Yeah.
You know, we're building a brand, and it's been great. And I see you guys now doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think mostly, and just to say this, like I think you obviously are holding court, but to see that you're working together is like makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, inclusion is everything. And I understand, like, this is going to be it's going to be a team effort. Like,
Yeah.
this isn't even a business that you can do on your own. But, like, for me, it's just more so, like, I just want to lock in with, like, dotting our I's, crossing our T's. Like, okay, what do we value? What is our, like, philosophy? We all know what our vision is. Like, the vision has leaked where people already have come. Like, it leaked enough for Wayne to be like, yo, I rock with this. Like, I respect everything that you're trying to succeed and do and how you're trying to reach people. And so it's just more so of having more of a structure, because then we'll have a lot more people. Honestly, Kicks and Coffee has 2 people that done work on a consistent basis. Like, we have Eric Medema that was doing the illustrator.
Okay.
So, like, he does the designs.
Okay.
And so, like, we were working last night. He did a design, which is crazy dope.
Nice.
He's just another talented dude.
So cool.
Yeah. But, like, actually, I came home, and he was like, he was in our office, and I was like, what are you doing? He was like, just working for you, bro. And I was like, what?
Man.
And he was like, look at this design. And I was like, oh, this is dope. And it's like, he was like, what do you think? And it's like, bro, all I can say is it's dope. Like, I don't know what else.
Yeah,
you
what
want
else
me
do you
to
say? I don't like it. Like, get out of here.
Dope stuff, you know. And so like him and Wayne, and then I know more people like are eventually gonna be on the team. Definitely, I think the next move would be like a barista looking for someone who'd be down to do coffee.
Idea.
And then I'm learning coffee right now as well.
Yeah, it's a big one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I thought coffee was coffee until I tried Folgers.
Yeah.
I was like, this is not coffee.
And
The pour over method, you know, and I learned that. You know, I'm good. If anybody need a pour over cup, I got you. That's
I know nothing about pour over. I mean, I know you pour it over.
It's so much
and
math.
that's
It's
it.
just math. It's
Really?
like waiting and like
it's so
time.
dope,
and
though.
You gotta go counterclockwise. I'm
Yeah.
like, he taught me how to do it. I'm like, yo, this is a lot for this one cup.
But
I'm getting
it is a
one cup.
process.
Like,
But is it worth it?
Yeah, it is. I think so. I think the coffee. So I mean, we work a lot with Madcap too.
Yeah.
And we always use Madcap coffee, and so they just in general have great coffee.
Yeah,
And
they
so,
So good.
I don't know. There's something to be said about like, just doing that type of method, like just the process that it takes, and then the end result that you get. Like that's something you can take away in your business.
It's literally,
like
it's the epitome of working for something. Like you did all this work and you got a one cup. You got
Right.
one cup. That's it. That's all you
but it's
get.
so
Cup is
good.
full.
smooth,
Yeah,
like
right. It's like, yeah.
It's funny because the miracle happens when you can duplicate that one cup 1,000 times.
Yeah.
How, right?
Yeah,
Because it
that's
takes
it.
so much.
But that's just working on your craft.
Brick
man.
by brick.
Constant work.
That's
Brick by brick.
Constant grinding.
Yep.
Like literally grinding.
grinding, literally, right? Man,
You know?
I would love to divulge more on coffee and sneakers and all this good stuff and see where you guys are headed in the future. But I think we got to cut it off for part 2.
Oh, beautiful.
If you guys want to come back in the future, that'd be
Most
awesome to have you
definitely,
on.
man.
I do know we got to cut it short because we got to be somewhere at this point.
Yeah.
Hey,
You know?
look, same,
Hey.
man. We on a mission.
Yeah.
Everybody got to work.
Be obedient to your time.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So we'll wrap it up here. If you guys have any more comments or anything you want to say.
thank you for having us.
Yeah.
This
Oh,
is
where
fun.
can Grand Rapids find you?
So on social media, Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, at kicks_coffee with a K. And then also kicksandcoffee.com as well. So
Nice.
and then if you can
Oh, yeah,
find
most
Wayne on
def.
his personal page.
Yeah, you can hit me at _ is Wayne's World for some
Wayne's
pictures of
World.
myself. you know.
Wayne's
I love that
World.
name. Right.
No, but
We're just living in it.
Cool thing is I'm actually plugged this week on Thursday. So if you guys don't know, come through the plugs.
Plug is awesome.
Plugged is super
Amazing.
dope.
Meet new people,
That's another
network.
thing we're part of heavy too is plugged, making sure it runs good, making sure we basically just bring, creatives and young entrepreneurs out to learn and grow and network with each other. So that's from 6 to 9 every Thursday at Carbon Story. So come through for that. We'll be teaching a branding and social media course this Thursday. So
Man.
come out.
Oh, we'll be there for sure.
Yeah, this guy's good.
Yeah, so that'll be dope. I got tips for everything from Instagram to LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. I'm gonna even do some TikTok.
But could you make
from
me
the
rich?
TikToks.
Oh, did you say TikTok?
Right, I
TikTok.
finally said I'm gonna give y'all some TikTok love, man.
TikTok tip. Wait,
Yeah,
TikTok
so-
tips.
TikTok tips. I
There we
like
go.
it.
TikTok
But yeah, so come off
I
of
like
that. And we're launching my social media management firm, the Splice Agency. So be on the lookout for that. Come through, check it out.
It's
That's
gonna be
awesome.
lit. It's gonna be so
and
dope.
finally, guys, what do you guys want to do with, like, what do you want to leave behind when, this is such an early question for us because we're young.
Yeah.
I'm young.
You don't know?
Yeah.
35-year-old here. What do you guys want to leave behind as a legacy in life?
Giving, serving.
Serving.
If I had to explain in one word, serving.
Yeah.
I
Say that's a good one. I would really I've been reading a lot about just purpose. So yeah, I would just want to leave. I want to just continue to grow in purpose and leave a legacy of like-minded individuals who look at business as an opportunity to serve the community and not just themselves, for sure. So
Awesome.
So rare. How old are you guys?
24.
25.
25 young dudes, man. That's
Man.
awesome. To think like that, have the mentality, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm only 10 years ahead, but Not, you know.
But hey,
It's a lot to
doing
learn.
your thing though. You know?
Yeah, it's a lot to learn. So I commend you guys. You guys are doing awesome work out there. Go check them out, guys.
Hey, thank you.
B&E
again for having
Podcast
us.
in Grand Rapids. Check us out
Yes.
next week.
Yeah.
These
Take
guys
some
are
coffee.
dope.
Thanks so much.
Awesome.
Get
Take
a
care, guys.
burrito.
Yes.
Fire.
Peace.
Fire.